What's wrong with you? What is your disability? What makes people look at you? My mom is a special ed assistant and works with many special ed kids around campus and around this district. At Colony High School a couple years ago, she had this one student whose favorite question was to ask, "What is your disability?" This question seems very bizarre until we look at it again from a new perspective. We all have something wrong with us, whether it be a tic, a need to count everything, or something as weird as needing to brush your teeth before you eat rather than after. We all view these tics about us as imperfections and something that makes us impure, but to others, like my mom's student, it can make them feel normal and like they finally fit in somewhere. For me, one of my many tics is that I have a condition called Oculocutaneous Albinism that affects my eyes and my pigment. I have uncorrectable vision, horrible light sensitivity, and almost no depth perception. And if you haven't noticed, I have white everything. But on the bright side, my graying process will be less painful. Now, when I'm in unfamiliar places or it is extremely bright outside, I use a white cane. I began to use this cane first semester of sophomore year, and the biggest memory I have is the crude and ignorant comments my peers would give me. Many forget that just because I'm blind and that I'm disabled I'm disabled means that I can't hear. But in reality, I can hear very well, and I can hear almost everything. Many of them would bring on questions like, "She can see. Why does she need a cane? She didn't have one before. She must really want attention." I learned to ignore these as they made me feel bad for them and like they needed to be informed. And it made me realize that while we do progress in human rights, civil rights, gay rights, and many others, we still shy from acceptance to people who may appear different, physically and mentally. Quick disclosure, I cannot speak for anyone but myself. These experiences are personal, but from speaking to others with similar conditions and with other disabilities, I have come to find these things. Being different does not just affect the individual, but also affects families. Siblings and relatives will oftentimes feel oppressed and like they don't quite fit in with their family because all the attention is drawn to the individual. My older sister, back when I was cute and little, used to try to get rid of me and try to shy me away from the family because she felt that I took too much attention from her. And this lasted until recently, and she was in 6th grade and I was in 3rd grade, and she would get her friends to call me Bleach so that way I would leave her alone. Even in public places, these individuals will be attacked. At places like the airport, the TSA will oftentimes hunt these individuals down to question them, making sure they're not dangerous, kidnapped, in the right place, and other things. In other words, we oftentimes judge each other based on their appearances and what we see them to be. This problem has gone on for a very long time, and we all understand it is an issue, but many of us do not know what we can do as a society to help. To improve, we can be patient people. I asked our band director at Los Osos High School what he manages to do to accommodate all these individuals who may have something wrong with them or may need extra help. He said, quote, "Mainstreaming is good." What he meant by this is that while he still manages to accommodate all these individuals, it is important to still treat them as normal human beings and expect the same things out of them as they do anyone else. It is important that we do not sugarcoat or necessarily cookie cut our way around interactions with them, but rather we need to treat them as our best friend with a little bit more patience. Another thing is temptation. Humans are very nosy creatures, and we often like to look at what we don't understand, and we will stare at what we question. I went to go get blood work a couple weeks ago with my mom, and the room was as quiet as a doctor's office could be. We were all waiting for our turn to be poked, when all of a sudden, this young man behind the partition began screaming and crying and being frustrated. My mom quickly realized that this boy most likely had autism and was just scared of the environment and the needles and the doctor and all the people. But this old lady across the room did not understand that. She began declaring that that young man was too old to be screaming like that and that he needed to be taken care of. She got up from her chair and went to go see for herself what she believed to be an open freak show. Many of us all had the same temptation. We wanted to go make sure he was okay, make sure he wasn't being hurt, and just generally see if he was all right. But all of us fought the temptation out of respect for him, because he is a human being, not just a person with something wrong with them. We've all done something embarrassing, that we've all woken up around midnight wondering why we did that a couple years ago and regretting it. But imagine what that situation could be like if we just knew someone felt our pain, someone has done the same thing, or someone knew what was happening. For me, one of my biggest motivations to not quit using my cane out of embarrassment was the fact that people stuck up for me, and that people managed to tell others what was wrong with me and make sure that I wasn't alone. We can change ignorance in society by especially showing the youth and others around us what disabilities like mine and like yours are like. Many reasons I did receive so much hate when I began to use my cane was that many didn't know that people with disabilities could exist like this, and that someone who can see the board may need a cane to walk outside and may be dependent on a stick. If someone had spoken up for me from the beginning and told me that it was going to be okay, imagine how much more acceptance I would have felt and how much less hate I would have received. We all impact each other, regardless of if we interact with each other. We all can create a chain reaction. If one person spoke up for someone, imagine what that would do for someone else. Whether that action be something as small as saying good morning, how are you, what did you have for dinner last night? Or something as large as telling someone to back off when they're being mean to them. We can improve society by bringing more awareness and acceptance to people like me and like you who may appear to be different. Thank you.